Hello and welcome to another Aoe2 post-game commentary. Today we have a Black Forest game, 4v4 Black Forest. We're going to see the usual players playing here again. Myself as Mongols. We have Plabscore as Aztecs. We have Harder Daddy as Goths. And we have Turks Shadowfax. We are playing against Juvie as Spanish, Britain's Tincho, I think, and Mystical Poser Saracens, and blue on my side, Dr. Prof Noob. So, let's get right. Look what we're seeing here. We are seeing a crazy, ambitious, fast wall that I've never seen before happen. This is right in their face. I'm assuming this guy is also going for foraging, and he hasn't realized. The villager hasn't realized that there is a massive wall that's gonna get erected up here. There also is most likely there's signaling by both players that there should be a wall here as well. So what we're seeing, if he's successful, if you're going to be walling in this sort of manner, he should have prioritized walling in such a way where you don't let them fully build. You let them half build, just so you get that HP above 1, so around 10 to 30, and then you carry on. Had he done that, I think this wall here would have been complete, and this would have totally messed up TL over here. On the way, we are gonna see some wolf action as well. We're seeing a scout, couple of scouts coming in for Juvie. He's sending quite a few of his villages here because he has realized what the opponent is trying to do. Yellow has noticed this. Allied vision is on, so he's just trying his best to. He's just saying this amount of villages is gonna completely wreck both players, and at the moment, we can see that being represented by both their scores being very low. Unfortunately, Shadowfax is on the losing side of this. He has lost one villager, one scout, and most likely he should have walled his villager in there. Do a quick wall with his villager, but instead he clicks the villager away, and the villager is trying to get around, and that really isn't going to be the best of situations. We have, well, if we take a look at the map, we can see that this map, actually walling here, is actually a very good idea for Shadowfax, because this actually completely blocks off Juvie from entering and getting his allies help. So his ally will have to go through this wall over here to do anything in the future. On my side, I'm playing as Mongols, so I prefer to boom up and try and go for some Hussar / siege Mangudai sort of rush. So I do end up walling here, and I did go for a fast wall. I didn't want to have to fight for a wall over here and risk losing control over this with a guard outpost and with a watchtower, sorry. But the battle here still continues. 4 villagers and a scout still on Juvie's side, and he's trying to wall up the best he can. Walls are being made. See, Shadowfax here, if he really wanted to, he should have responded with 4 villagers of his own, not send only 2 villagers to their deaths, because this is not good. If you're going to do this, Juvie has the right idea. He needed to break through this wall and not allow himself to be walled in, so he sent a lot of villagers out. By doing it this way, you allow the player with the least number of villagers simply to be outmatched, because really this is Dark Age. There's not going to be no numbers are what matter here in this case. So Shadowfax is being forced to back off, and we might actually see a wall coming up from Juvie anytime soon, perhaps. But that's pretty much the most drama we've pretty much the only drama in early game in this Black Forest game. Could have went relatively smooth had Shadowfax walled here, but that was a very ambitious wall. And might I add, if Shadowfax is known to do these sorts of walls, to do these ambitious walls, and when it comes to palisade walling and forward walling, this guy knows no limits. As long as he can get his villagers here, he will try and do his best to wall. With that being said, let's speed up the game. We're just gonna see people boom, and we are gonna pay attention to this to the villager count here and the scores to try and see who's gonna be in the lead in terms of booming. Yellow's gonna build is gonna get attacked by a wolf, but the villager's gonna survive, and he's gonna start walling up here. I send my scout trying to break through this wall so we can perhaps push again. And what's to know is that the enemy player hasn't realized that there is... Yep, there we go. Shadowfax has realized that there is going to be there needs to be a wall here. The first feudal age is going to be red with a 19 villager feudal age. So he's most likely... He has managed his eco very well to have done a 19 villager economy boom. I usually prefer to go 26, 2 more in feudal age, and then arrive at castle age with 28 villagers. That way it just has a more stable economy, and you can't really go wrong by having the extra villagers a bit earlier. We are seeing an attack being made here, but he's gonna wall it up with a house. Let's speed up the game. So looking at the map, let's have a look at the ponds. That's a nice pond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. This is perfectly a good pond to use. On our side, I don't think we have a pond. We do have a pond here, but is Shadowfax going to use it? I don't think so. 4 fish. It is doable. You will get something out of it if you do manage to put a shellfish thing. And Shadowfax, yep, Shadowfax is going to be putting down a fishery there. The general rule, I think, is that if there's more than 3 fish, so 4 or 5, so more than 4, more than 3, then perfectly it's viable to try and use shorefish and get some fishing ships out to utilize it. Let's have a look at the civs. So the civs, in terms of our strategy and prowess, it seems both teams have Turks, so there's going to be a lot of bombards. We're going to see a lot of bombards. They do have the almighty Saracens. They also have Britons, and they have Spanish, but Spanish is going to be in a much tougher position than everyone else, so I expect him to not be able to do so well and arrive at the game later, unless he manages to open this path here, which he really should have assigned his villagers to do so, because the faster he opens a path, the quicker he can get aid from his teammates. As even if his teammates do come through here, where he's not going to really see much of any help, because these armies, this area will most likely be either a battlefield or filled with military buildings from the two Harder Daddy and Shadowfax. We're seeing if you're gonna get a town center up, might as well, no harm in that. But we're seeing pretty balanced scores. This game, it was pretty balanced in terms of scores and the ratings. All of the players around here were above 1200, and there were a few which were in the above 1300 range, but they were split. So this did lead to a good split and a evenly matched game. We can even look at the scores here, and we can see Shadowfax really not doing well. Even Juvie, who has been suffering, is in a better position, and Juvie has already by the time Shadowfax has made his castles, Juvie has already built 3 town centers. So Shadowfax needs to move along and just get his game up and try and do something with the boom. So he's gonna build 2 town centers. Actually, that's not a bad town center location. Perhaps he was thinking of going this way. It's a viable option. If he does do so, he can actually cause a lot of damage. And if Juvie uses this region here as economy, then that's even more of a hindrance. All players getting handcards around the same time. If we're looking at the score, we're seeing the Saracens, not surprising, Saracens in the lead in the boom. Saracens are almighty Saracens, and their boom very hard to compete against. Okay, we're gonna slow the game down here, because we're gonna start seeing the start of some action. Already, this is very unusual. What's very unusual is the fact that the Turkish player, out of all the players, is not wanting to boom, but is going to be attacking very early in the game. This is one of the things to note when you're playing Black Forest, and even though people are booming, some of these scores aren't representative of their boom. Some of these scores are simply representative of the buildings they're making or the units that are going to come out. So Red probably, even though Yellow only has a score lead of 100, he probably has a much greater economy than Red, simply because most of his score, again, he's making military units, so that's counting towards his score. So that, in actual fact, means that Red's score should be even lower if military is only considered. This is why Hard Daddy seems to be doing quite well. Saracens as well. He's making a lot of town centers. He's going for a full boom and town center barrage. We're gonna see some Manguda and a Monkia. I didn't actually realize there was a Monkia. There is a monastery from Yellow over here. So we're gonna this ram here. This ram, unfortunately, there's no mangonel from Red. So this mangonel is gonna take out this ram before the ram can get through. That's pretty much assured. Stone walls going up on either side. A castle is being built by Juvie. The best placement stops early aggression, but once Imperial Age, this castle will be suffering. So Red has sent his archers that he's been building here all the way around. All the way around here. So this mangonel has actually spotted some of these. Has he managed to kill one? I don't think so. Just managed to get. But they might actually kill. I forgot. These are Britain's British crossbowmen, so they do get that range, and that's going to be quite deadly. But 2 of the crossbowmen are dead. The villager here has survived, but the villager was actually meant to be tasked to build a stone, but the stone wasn't really. Sorry, the stone wall. So the villager is going to end up walking away, but the villager is being healed by Yellow. Yellow most likely, I do believe Yellow came here. Yep, Yellow. In actual fact, we can see the rally point on where the relic was. The relic was here, and Yellow did make a monastery here simply for the relics, but he's now going to be helping on that side. He has also walled here, a double layer wall. I'm making a great wall of China over here. because I do not want anyone to attack me right now. I want you to boom up a bit more. And I'm getting all the upgrades that I possibly can right now. So my initial strategy this game was to go and try and get siege onagers and make hussars. So large amount of rams, large amount of siege onagers, and try and cut through this area here and completely enter his base and just like dominate. Go in, raid, and he wouldn't like this whole Great Wall of China. Yes, it's gonna stop me, but the Turkish player will not be able to like cut through. So he will most likely not be thinking about me cutting through unless he realizes that I can cut through. He probably noticed this as well, so he is going to be building outposts here. And on this side the army keeps getting bigger, and Turks is Imperial Age. Yep, there's quite a few players on Imperial Age, and there seems to be more people on Imperial Age in their team. Juvie score and Shadowfax's score is now balancing out, and we're gonna see a bombard cannon. So pretty much these monks have to back off, and this bombard cannon is gonna make mincemeat of this wall. So once they get through, they're gonna be experiencing hussars, hand cannoneers, and Saracens is also here. So it looks to be that all these players will most likely be heading in this direction after it opens up. So they're looking to push and help and free Juvie from his imprisonment via the walls. Is Juvie looking to cut? Again, a big mistake made by Juvie by not cutting. And if you see the amount of wood cut here, had Juvie kept an eye on this region here, and every time a layer of wood is cut, he focused the villagers down to cut again. Yes, it would have been a bit of a headache to constantly do it, but it would have ensured the fastest way, because since Juvie is Spanish, unless someone else in his team's Saracen creates, unless the Saracen player creates siege onagers to help him out, he's going to be alone. So finally the wall has been broken and the hussars are inside, and the Mangadel did manage to get a shot off, and so he did manage to kill a Manganel. We're seeing a monk trying to convert, and the monk will most likely not get the conversion, not in time. This monk, the scout cavalry are resistant to monks, so they will not be able to. I do believe to convert a scout cavalry, the monk has to be at maximum range, and after maximum range, the scout might end up attacking the monk 1 or 2 times before it gets converted. So if it's a hussar, I think it's a bit more, but if it's at max range, then you'll have no problem of converting. But regardless, if you convert a 1, who's not to say that there's always going to be an army of hussars. Hussars don't usually come in ones. And on this side, me and Harder Daddy are just like getting into the battle. So Harder Daddy is coming in with his spam. He's playing golf, so he's going to have a lot of units here. Shadowfax is trying to build his, not sure what he's doing, but trying to build a barracks over here. But he is going to be the army of the Goths, not upgraded, but they're still going to arrive. There are a decent number of hand cannoneers here, but pardon me, but unfortunately there's simply too much halberdiers for even these hand cannoneers to face. If these hand cannoneers and these hussars don't retreat, the overwhelming numbers of halberdiers will end up destroying all these guys here. And all this time, so you're probably wondering, there's a massive line on the minimap of purple, and what I was doing was I was gonna send units across. Instead, I was gonna send units to attack blue, but instead I thought blue was here, so let me bring my hussars. So I sent my hussars, rally pointed them right in here, and just brought them in here to try and deal some damage. Fully upgraded hussars of the Mongol variety. So all these bombard cannons, all this gold, all the gold resource army that was made has now been demolished. So we're also seeing, this is quite interesting actually, we're seeing Orange not only building his army, but he's also tributing to Juvie. So I'm not sure why there's a need for it, but we're at this moment, since both players do have sufficient number of resources, but my guess is to really help out Juvie and try and get him on a roll. Meanwhile, in this stage, I am building up my army, and I decided not to go with Mangudai. I decided to go with heavy cavalry archers as well, to try and do some damage, seeing as though he was building hand cannoneers. We're gonna see some Janissaries from Shadowfax as well, and Shadowfax not really having a big army at this point in time. Most of the army right now is really comprised of Shadow Daddy's, Harder Daddy's army. We're seeing a mass masquerade of markets going up. Everyone trying to take these extra resources. Okay, I see what this was. This wood line, there was a wood line here, a thin wood line that prevented entry into this base, I believe. And now this is going to make for a good trade line. The trade line here, I'll start over here. And let's go back here. I'm just seeing me sell a lot of stone, buy a lot of food, and do a lot of stuff. We're seeing fully upgraded units now, and these camels, even a group of these camels can take out twice the number of Mongol hussars. So this is not good. I do engage, but unfortunately for Orange, there are a massive number of halberdiers on this side. Meanwhile, on this side, I am researching Siege Onaga, so the plan to attack through here is going to commence. And if you look at here, there is nothing at this moment. Most of the army that Blue has is on this side, and he hasn't really paid attention to the incoming threat that is on his side. I do have a large number of hussars on this side, surprisingly, and the rally point was set here. So I do engage my units in the battle, and you can see I keep on losing a lot of units, but I do have the help of the Janissaries from Shadowfax, so they're dealing a lot of damage as well. Again, this little group of hand cannoneers nicely bunched up over here, so this group is probably most likely on patrol mode, and this is really good because it just means that it's hard for units to try and get hits in, especially melee units, to try and deal with them. So patrol them under a little thin area. Yep, there we go. There's the patrolling action. But of course, there's still enemies here. Keep in mind all this time. Okay, so Red finally decided to try and cut wood here, and I have no idea. This is a big mistake from Juvie to not having cut it earlier. Would have really helped him out had he did that. I do keep my hussars there just to. I tell Shadowfax to open this gate up, and I'm gonna be sending my hussars in to try and deal some damage and try and see, because at this point I had no idea what sort of army was waiting for us, but I did expect an army. Finally, Siege Onagas and the attack on this side begins. Very soon, all these siege works are going to be working at 100% capacity, and they will be pumping out units. What a nice shot right there. But on this time I do encounter cavaliers, but there is a bombard cannon, and just hussars are really good at soaking up the damage. Like they're really one of the best, I think one of the best cost-effective meat shields in the game, or probably. Some may argue you can use paladins, but of course paladins, there is still the gold consumption that you have to worry about. And right now I'm just spamming out everything and anything I can. I've reassigned all my stables directly into this base over here, so we are going to be pushing on this side. and all the units here, blue's units, are still going on this side. He has a large number of red, orange, blue, all of them are here. They're gonna try and push. Meanwhile, I still have a couple of hussars still remaining, surprisingly, on this side. Elite Mamelukes, fully upgraded, very powerful indeed. He could, the Saracen player could really just put his units here and hold this section area if he really wanted to. But at this point, we have managed to break through Blue's base, and Blue is in a desperate attempt to try and save his town center, and all these villagers are gonna start focusing down the ram. The ram's unfortunately gonna die. It just means that we did not have enough attacking units, and we have a lot more siege at this point. Yep, a lot more siege. Both Aztecs, both Yellow and me, are going out siege on the guys. We want to try and utilize them as much as possible. We're fine. Are we going to finally see movement here? Nope, we're still seeing Blue's army up here, Red's army up here. So right now, there is no resistance. We are just walking through, breezing through. But we're finally seeing Orange realize that this is a threat, and let's have a look at it from Yellow's perspective. Orange's perspective. Let's have a look at Prof Noob. Sorry, let's view it from his perspective, and this is what he sees. He sees nothing but a massive army of eagles, siege, coming into his base and demolishing what little he has at this point. Not to sound condescending, but he really doesn't have much in terms of land space and really military economy compared to other players such as Orange. The battle in the middle still continues, and it seems like some of these players are realizing we need to start building unit barracks here and other such units to try and push. The Spanish Cavalier is gonna try and go in here and try and deal with this. And here, this is really a big mess. These, like I said before, these elite Mamelukes are so powerful, but they are so annoying. They get in your face, they hit you a couple of times, and they do so much damage, and then they just walk away. But we seem to have the advantage right now. No, my skirmishers were being produced just as an extra unit choice, and just trying to get some units in there. And it looks like we are going to be pushing, and it seems like they don't seem to be in a very good position, because in this side they just don't have the advantage. We're finally seeing skirmishers from Goths, so these crossbowmen are going to have a harder time. Oh, still not dead. Taking so many hits before they die, so these crossbowmen are not going to survive anytime sooner. We're finally seeing an army from Blue arriving. He's going to try and defend his base. I do have a massive army myself. My siege at the back. I should really have used my siege up here. Meanwhile, on this side, Red is still fighting, and what little army Blue has over here is still fighting. And we still have Juvie making hussars, making paladins, and he did try to attack the gate here, but it was just blocked off. So Juvie still on a good position, still has no connection to his allies. Again, not the greatest of choices, and he really should have focused down and try and cut through here. Red is doing so, but it's going to be a bit too late. However, on this side, Blue is making champions, Blue is making hand cannoneers, and Orange is making a lot of Mamelukes and camels. So this army here looks formidable right now. And note that we have mainly siege, so this isn't looking too good for us either. There's not enough units out on the field to fodder and make use of the siege. Meanwhile, here we're seeing more Janissaries, and we're finally seeing elite Huskarls. Not fully upgraded, just need that one more blast furnace upgrade, but all of these archers here are dead. You cannot look at this mass. They're walking They're walking in a straight line uniformly to their destination. All these archers are going to be forced to retreat. All this forward base is going to get destroyed, considering that blue is now focused on here. But finally, you see this Mameluke army getting right in your face, attacking you, walking away right in your face. Really annoying, really annoying. But we're seeing camels as well, and Mamelukes are simply going to demolish the Hussar army. This siege aren't going to last long enough. The hand cannoneers are going to defeat all the eagle warriors that are coming out. And right now, it seems like this side, there is nothing really we can do. If we go back to my score, and if you see the map, we are an empty base. They can push, they can push on this side and make ground where they have lost ground here, because they will not be able to push back this wave. We're seeing cavalry archers. Rarely do we see cavalry archers from a Turkish player, but we're seeing cavalry archers. We're seeing a spam of elite Huskals, and this doesn't look too good for Juvie or red on this side. But regardless, we are still preserving. If we again see this gold mine here, this is one of the things I always try and do. So if there is a gold mine which is in front of the enemy's base, I always prioritize getting that gold mine early in the game. So even if it's just 5 villages or 10 villages, or if I have a town center out here which is considered just for gold, I would still rally here and try and get this gold ASAP, because this gold is at the forefront. It's at the frontier of your base, and if your base is under siege, that means you don't have access to all this gold. And simply look at this: three hand cannoneers now are demolishing all these villages, couple of skirmishers, and it's not good for Juvie. He's gonna lose out on his power he's gonna lose out on his gold, and once he loses out his gold, he's gonna be in a dire situation. We're seeing a trade congestion. Lots of traffic over here for some reason. All these useless buildings, but they say it's useless, but this is really part of my economy. I don't have anywhere else. Well, I didn't see that when I was playing, but oh well. And here we're seeing champions from the Turkish player, and the Turkish player does want to really get into our base. They do make an attempt to come into our base, but there simply is a lot of heavy cavalry archers, a lot of scorpions now being made, so this is going to be a hard push for them. Now in this here, heavy cavalry archers fully upgraded now by the Turkish player. But what seems to be the case? See, this is the problem with Goths. Because Goths don't get siege rams, and they don't get the ability to destroy walls fast enough. Like siege rams, they destroy walls very fast. But if you're not able to destroy walls fast enough, then you end up in a situation where you just can't utilize the mass that you have. And if you're stuck in a choke point and all the enemy does is build a couple of gates, a couple of walls, and then it stops you from coming into your base, then everything that you've done, the massive units that you've made, is completely useless in that point, since only a couple of them will be fighting at any specific time. So that is why, like, really, if you're playing with a Goth player, and if you yourself have, again, trade congestion, if you yourself have siege rams, then get siege rams out and try and utilize siege primarily to try and help out and push. Of course, in this case, we have Turks, so we're really not going to be seeing siege rams or anything of that sort, but we are going to see bombard cannons. So pretty much all these heavy cavalry archers, if they were replaced by even 10 to 20 bombards, that would have been perhaps a better situation, as you would have been able to gain more of that, since you can break open this passage. Because if they had broken through this passage right now, red was gone. Because if they broke through and all grey had to do was spam units out here, then red's base is gone, and that's one player out of the game already. On this side, we see red, blue, they're all rebuilding here. They're trying to gain their ground. We're seeing a couple of units here and there emerging back, and nothing really is happening here. At this point, I'm not sure what I was doing at this time, but I've racked up a lot of gold, and now I did spend the gold. So we're gonna start seeing an increase in army, and I haven't even reached pop cap. This is because siege is so expensive. It uses up so much of your resources that you usually need to use trash units to try and make up the numbers. Still no cut, still no connection. This game has already been 1 hour and there's still no connection between Juvie and his teammates. That is not the best situation. Finally, we're seeing the Goth army and the cavalry archer army of the Turks entering Juvie's base, and Juvie cannot get any help because he made the fundamental mistake of not opening up. Red gotta use trebuchets to try and open up, so he's gonna try and force his way through, and he needs to, since if he does not, then it seems like Juvie's gonna be out of the game. There's no push is being made here. All the units are being redrawn to the other side. And what's the note here is I decided to open up. I did my approach. My approach got me a lot of harassment for this choice, but I still consider this to be the best choice, as what I did was I opened up this path because I wanted another passage in which our teammates and team members can funnel themselves through. So what I wanted to do was allow this passage so the Goth player can just charge in, destroy as much as he can, and just spam his way through. That's what I wanted, but of course initially Goth player was focused on this side, so he didn't spam there. Maybe it was a bit too early, maybe it was a bad call, but what ended up happening was it basically allowed, if you see the army here, this army here has been reduced. The army here has been reduced. There's no siege pressure. There's no pressure on this side, and what they made a fundamental mistake in not appreciating this side and forgetting that there are the two second ranked players in the game in our team are on this side, and they're just waiting, and you have to wonder, what are they waiting for? Are they building units? And most likely the only way they're going to win is, yes, by building units. It's surprising actually that on this side this Juvie still hasn't been pushed. Again, this is simply a factor of not having enough siege to try and destroy all these buildings. If there was at least 10 siege ramps, I guarantee you that all these buildings would have went out flying and nothing would have happened. We're finally seeing that trebuchet opening up, so we're gonna see the Knights of the Vale coming out from the British players. From the British player. I'm not sure what Turks is doing here. Perhaps he thought the trade is running here or something. I would have thought so too, but really there is no connection. But on this side, I'm pinging yellow and telling him that, look, we are moving out and we're gonna finally push. And if you see the mass amount of scorpions, even an army of Mamluks would really suffer a lot. And we'll get to see that very soon. All pay attention to these hussars that come charging in and watch how these scorpions deal with them. This side getting very demolished hard. Trip just needs to open up one more tree. But this side, I back off my scorpions and then I fire in a continuous line, and I snipe only one. I snipe only one in the first shot, but I managed to get a couple more, and by the second hit, the third hit, all these stragglers, the ones that did survive, were surviving, and they did. And luckily, they did actually. That was actually quite cost effective on their side because they used a lot of food to exchange for gold. But if you're in a BF game and you're at this stage of the game, gold really isn't the issue. The issue right now is try and push and utilize tactics, because if you have trade, you're doing good. One thing to know is that their team has a lot of idols. A lot of idols. Even if you exclude Juvi, who's under constant attack, that is a lot of idols. And Juvi's score has really plummeted. His army is probably has only 2 military units. 90% of his population is villagers. And see, it's a real shame that Juve did not think to open up this wall over here. I say this time and time again, but it would have changed the whole landscape had he gotten support that would have been able to come earlier, and had Red's army been able to come even earlier if that wall was open. Perhaps they would have been able to beat them back with the castles they had. And finally, here we're seeing a spam coming out from Red, but obviously Huskarl's not going to be able to do anything here. And here we're seeing a mass influx of, okay, this army here is just going to get right in our face, not allow our mangonels to hit them. But luckily there are a lot of units pumping out here. It doesn't look too good for these guys here. The orange player, although he's got a lot, this time there's fully upgraded heavy scorpions, siege onagers, siege rams, champions, hussars. This army really just counters everything, and nothing is happening at this moment. There is another army here, but this army for some reason is not pushing forward, not being utilized, and the Goth player is in, and this castle is going to go down, and all the Goth player has to do is get into the eco, and all this is dead. It seems like at this point we've managed to successfully push. There is a large number of units here, but these champions here with 21 attack are gonna make mincemeat of anything and everything that arrives here. Considering with the large amount of siege, this is really no. This game isn't favored in terms of their team anymore, and we finally see the Goth player just entering the base, not regarding this is the power of Huskarls, not giving two shits about 3 castles, soaking the damage, and just walking through like nothing's gonna happen. We're seeing a lot of hussars coming out from Turks. We're seeing camels coming out as well, and it seems to be working. They seem to be pushing us, but they really can't maintain their equipment, and there's not really enough siege of their own to try and deal with this. Meanwhile, on this side, we have a cavalry archer army and a spam of units coming in here. The Huskarl army has arrived inside and is doing a lot of damage on the inside. We're seeing Red finally come down here, but unfortunately, Red came a bit too late because most of the army, the defending army, has been wiped. And we're seeing some mass food sell. We're seeing a lot of food, crazy amounts of resources being sold, and we are seeing a lot of. Actually, what's going on here? I see. It seems that Plabsco wants to increase his score, so he's begun to start researching all these technologies. Yep, definitely. He's trying to raise the score up. But mass scorpions, guys, mass scorpions really powerful, especially Mongol ones, that they can move fast. They can move as if they were an infantry unit as well, which really makes them all that more powerful. 17 attack, 8 range, the same range as a normal standard archer, plus that 7 PS armor, so archers can't actually deal with this sort of power. And really, it doesn't look so good for their team. The Hun's army, the Turkish army is arriving, and Goths, trebuchets from both Goths and Shadowfax. They're gonna try and destroy this castle and make their way inside. Meanwhile, that castle there is dead, and we're really not seeing any sort of. We're finally seeing some of my units inside their base, distracting their army up here, allowing us to destroy as much as we can here. And there we have the final GG, and after that GG, everyone GG's. This game actually, a lot of things happened that actually won us the game. And one of the recurring themes that seem to happen quite a lot is that if you manage to somehow block an enemy off from their allies, and if that ally has no way, but in this case had a way, and doesn't use that way to open himself up to his teammates, then really he's stranded. And even with this amount of space that he had to work with, and especially this front bit here, which would have been bombarded all the time, he really wasn't in the best of situations in terms of what he could do. So I think GV made the mistake of really not trying to get through here, and all these wallings. And the Turkish player really should have boomed. Really, I think the Turkish player should have boomed, and the Turkish player did not have nowhere near enough castles. Trade cards. One of the reasons why Turkish players are so good is the fact that they could spam bombars, and they can spam again. They can spam not 13 range. Not 11 range bombard towers. They can get 13 range bombard towers. So they can get phenomenal bombard towers, and you can spam them out, and you can cause massive destruction. And really, had Blue done that, it would have been a lot harder than how we managed to push 2 times. The first successive time we managed to create disorder and make the army that was present here fall back down here, which allowed the top to push happen. That could have been averted or delayed a lot if they had bombard cannons. And I think that was one of the things the Turkish people, that both Turks players didn't do in this game. Surprisingly, Britons really got hard countered in this game, I think, by Goths. Because if they did even go full archers, their specialty, then they would have really not been able to do much and really die in this case. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.